Hello, welcome to another episode of this old deck. So I thought I'd do something a bit different in this episode and move away from tournament decks. This is still a deck from the Deck Deconstruction companion book, and it's in the second chapter, so chapter 2, which covers Millstone and other library depletion decks. And this one, as you can, I don't know if you can see here, Merfolk of Dementia. So it's more of a fun deck than a tournament level deck, and it's a combination of a weenie fish deck with library depletion from Altar of Dementia and Grindstone, and rather clever use of Reigns of Power to steal your opponent's creatures. So the idea being that before combat you get yourself in a position where you can cast Reign of Power, steal your opponent's creatures, attack with them, and then sacrifice them to the Altar of Dementia for milling. So you've got milling coming from here, milling coming from the Grindstone for a cost of 3 to do 2 cards. This one is dependent on the creature's power in terms of the creature that gets sacrificed to it. Obviously, you'll notice with Reigns of Power, if you're familiar with the card, this is where you and target opponent each untap and gain control of all creatures. So there's a swap going on there. So in a perfect world, what you want to make sure is you're not giving them any creatures. So one possible way to do that would be, before you cast the Reigns of Power, to actually sacrifice your own creatures to the Altar of Dementia. Then you play the Reigns of Power before combat phase. You get all of their stuff. They get nothing because you've sacked all your stuff. And then you attack with all of their stolen stuff and then sacrifice everything to the Altar of Dementia. Boom. So let's have a look, go through this individually, look at some of the key cards. Also, we'll have a look at some of the Merfolk in here as well. You may have noticed through me scrolling through, very low curve. So most of the stuff is 1 and 2 drops, with a few at 3 and a few at 4. And apart from the 20 land, it's basically 4 of everything. So very simple deck. Like I said, more of a fun deck than a sort of tournament deck, but interesting to see this sort of thing in play, and to think about ways in which this could be improved, and ways in which you can have other decks built around Reigns of Power and Altar of Dementia. So 4 Grindstones, 1 drop, 3 tap, put the top 2 cards of target player's library into that player's graveyard. If both cards share at least 1 colour, repeat this process. 4 Altar of Dementias, 2 to cast, sack a creature, target player puts a number of cards equal to that creature's power from the top of his or her library into his or her graveyard. 4 Manta Riders, single blue, 1/1, with the ability single blue, Manta Riders gains flying until end of turn. 4 Root Water Divers, 1 blue to cast, 1/1, tap, sacrifice it, return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. 4 Root Water Mystics, single blue, 1/1, and then the ability it has is 1 and a blue. Look at the top card of target player's library. We've got 4 Lord of Atlantis here. All Merfolk get +1/+1 and gain Island Walk. That's a 2/2 for 2 blue. And then Vidalian Soldiers, 1 and a blue for a vanilla 1/2. Then on the instant and interrupt side of things, we've got 4 counter spells, so 2 blue counter target spell. There's a 1 and 2 blue Forbid, which is also a counter target spell, but we do have the option to buy the spell back if we choose and discard 2 cards to do that. That goes back into our hand instead of our graveyard. And then 4 of these Reigns of Power. So 2 and 2 blue, you and target opponent each untap and gain control of all creatures the other controls until end of turn. Those creatures are unaffected by summoning sickness this turn, and then 20 islands. So the key thing with this is, as I've said, timing. You want to get in a position where you're leveraging the fact that you're swapping stuff around using reigns of power so that you get all of your opponent's creatures and they get none of yours in a perfect world. Now, up here we've got two ways of milling, one using the Altar of Dementia through sacrificing a creature, and the other way through the grindstone for a cost of 3. But with this, it's 3 and tap, and there's no way in the deck of untapping that grindstone, so you've got to wait until you untap it on the next turn. But with the Altar of Dementia, you can just keep sacrificing creatures, as many as you want, to just get a corresponding number of cards milled for the target player based on the power level on the card. So obviously here's quite low power levels on these cards, but who knows what you could get from your opponent. It's a fun deck. There's no sideboard given in the book, as that happens with those sort of with the non-tournament decks or some of the other decks that are in there. And there may not always be a sideboard, but with the tournament decks there's pretty much always a sideboard. And I think with what they call the touchstone decks, they'll often have a sideboard as well. Very simple deck. So let's look at some of the cards in a bit more detail, drill down, do a bit of Scryfall shenanigans on this bit. So we're spilling over a little bit, some Scryfall shenanigans into this old deck, as we often do. So this was in Tempest, and then did appear in Kaladesh Inventions, but apart from these sort of special breaking news cards, it doesn't look like it was ever part of a regular card in a regular set beyond this. So here we go. So if the two cards are both colourless, then the effect does not repeat. It only repeats if both cards have at least one colour and at least one colour is shared between them. The process can repeat any number of times as long as two cards that share the colour are milled each time. So that's an important thing to remember, is the repeatability is based around this. What's the following card? So you could get lucky there if you got a string of same coloured cards. Sphinx's tutelage. What's that? One in the blue. Whenever you draw a card, target opponent puts the top two cards of his or her library into the graveyard. So both non-land cards that share a colour. Repeat this process. 5 in the blue, draw a card, then discard a card. So Millenni, there's quite a number of cards. If we're curious about Millenni, the first printings, yes, it's been around for a while. There's Millstone. So do the cast to take the top two players from target player's library and put them into target player's graveyard. And several of the decks in this section in the book leverage Millstone. Wand of Denial. So if you're curious about, just the artifacts that do it, there we go, 24. Most recent being Unidentified Hovership. And then if we go back, let's just look at Cube Cobra, see what sort of stuff ends up in people's cubes. And there's quite a lot of interesting artifacts here. Looks like powered cubes. Oh, here we go. Voltaic key. Interesting. Interesting artifacts here. Good old Mind Slaver. And shield sphere from Alliances. Oh, yeah, metalworker. Any stuff sort of built around this. What have we got? Commanders. It's only in 9,104 decks. What sort of combos have we got? Oh, yeah, Painter Servant, Grindstone. Struggling a bit there. So, the Altar of Dementia was in Conspiracy, Modern Horizons, and these retro artifacts in the Brothers' War. The number of cards the target player puts into the graveyard is equal to the power of the sacrificed creature as it last existed on the battlefield. If the target player's library contains fewer cards than the sacrificed creature's power, all of the cards are put into that player's graveyard. The player won't lose the game until they try to draw from an empty library. Yep, Millennium, Mill Self, Power Matters, Sack Outlet. So yeah, I suppose an interesting card to put in a deck where you want the ability to sacrifice things. So there might be other forms of deck where, yeah, one, you want to sacrifice your own creatures for a gain, but also, you know, the creatures that end up, the target player's creatures that end up in the graveyard could be fair game for some other card you've got for reanimating from an opponent's graveyard, that sort of thing. Now, the other thing is you can target yourself. Remember. So, if for some reason you wanted to mill yourself, cards are put cards from the top of your own library into the graveyard. So, yeah. If you want to sack outlet and you want to mill yourself, knock yourself out. Skull clamp. I quite like this soul ring actually. Oh, there's Animate Dead. Teleport Cutthroat, yeah. So yeah, a number of cards here that synergise nicely with the fact that creatures will be leaving the battlefield. It's Bridge from Below. Ashnot's Altar, another sack outlet. Phyrexian Tower. So yeah, we've got a number of cards here you can sack creatures to, but they're just, you get different things in rewards for doing that. Okay, do we see it? There's, yeah, fair number of decks with it in. Various combos here. Look at that one. And a few choices of commanders as well. Yeah, quite a number of choices actually. Including a few new ones there, I notice. Okay, Reigns of Power. This has been in several Commander products now. It's perfectly legal for either or both players to have 0 creatures. They give control of all their 0 creatures as instructed. You only untap creatures controlled by you and they're to target an opponent, not all creatures. Just in case you were wondering. Exchange control, theft of creature, threat, mass theft. It's 28 cards. Oh yeah, Hellkite Tyrant. Subjugate the Hobbits. Change control cards. Oh, there's Gilded Lake. Gilded Lake. Gilded Drake, I meant to say. You could have a fun blue-red chaos deck, couldn't you? Play around with. And there's plenty of cards to play around with those sort of themes. Oops, I didn't mean to click that. I wanted to do threaten. Till end of turn. Yeah. Threaten, act of treason. Okay, so we've also got some merfolk here. So these are pretty straightforward, so we probably won't see, won't see much. Oh, actually, one thing I forgot to do. I didn't think I looked in Cube Cobra for this. Oh yeah, it's desertion, mass mutiny. Okay. Oh yeah, Carnus. Manta Rider. I think it's going to have... Oh, yeah, well, of course, yeah, we've got Flying Men. From way back originally. Yeah, Zephyr Sprite. So these 1/1s for 1 with flying. Obviously with the... So this is worse than either of these, because with these you have flying from the get-go. And don't you remember Merfolk of the Pearl Trident, which is a 1/1 for 1 with no other abilities on it. So it is actually better than that. Gains flying, of which there are quite a number of cards. And also, yeah, has this jump ability on it. A creature gains flying until end of turn. So there's jump there. If we do type creature, There we go. Oh, Goblin Balloon Brigade. It's pretty scary. Yeah, it's Killer Whale. Morphling. Mantis Engine. Several artifact creatures with a jump on them. It was Chromat. Oh yeah, Cloudgoat Ranger. Night Sky Mimic as well. Was that? Those were cycle, weren't they? Yeah. Root Water Diver. Yeah, Martyr ability, so creatures sacrifice themselves for benefit. And regrowth of artifacts. You don't see an awful lot. There's 54 cards in Magic that have that. Including things like I'll give you a find. Junk Diver. Here's Mirror Retriever. Sanctum Gargle and Buried Ruin, which is a land that does it. And then you've got this trading post always interests me. You got 1 tap, discard a card, you gain 4 life. 1 tap, pay 1 life, put a 0/1 black 0/1 white goat creature token onto the battlefield. 1 tap, sacrifice the creature, could be a goat. Return target artifact card from the graveyard to your hand. 1 tap, sacrifice an artifact, draw a card. Round, round, round. Rootwater Mystic. Yep, creature type erratum. So that's interesting because what did that get changed to? Oh, Merfolk Wizard. Interesting. A few interesting things to play around with there. Lord of Atlantis. Evasion. Oh, because it's got Island Walk, that's it. Also similar to Master of the Pearl Trident. Trouble Merfolk. It's a Lord, of which there are 163. Lord effects are creatures that grant anthems to a characteristic, like a creature, type or colour. And it's been around for a while. Things like Goblin King. Yeah. No one does Griffins. What does it? Has it been? Yeah, still does Griffins. Yeah, there's some classics here. Out of these, which ones are actual legends? Go. Now the other one I wanted to check, I sort of held off from because these were all merfolk, is for this particular one. This would be a good one to go into here. And see what we have. So yeah, there's Merfolk of the Pearl Trident, Master of the Pearl Trident. Got a control magic there. And you can see got a whole load of blue creatures here. Yep, here's your merfolk. And then yeah, just a vanilla Vardanian soldier. I mean, with these we're not really going to see. I mean, the amount of so worse than ether theorists. So what we'll see here is a whole load of one of the blues or one or things where there's extra abilities on there beyond this. So. And there's quite a number of 2-drop blue creatures that are going to be better than this. Look at them. It's a popular space on the curve for blue there. 2-drops, blue 2-drops. There's Acromoeba. And the other thing with this, so in 5th edition and 6th edition, same artwork, but Fallen Empires, if they're Fallen Empires ones, you get all the other artwork. So there were 4 different pieces of artwork in Fallen Empires. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed a fun look at a fun deck. Might give you ideas of stuff to play around with, you know, just mix up the creature types. You could have a different sort of group of creatures, different subtype of creatures, different ways of taking stuff, so you could then sacrifice opponents' creatures to the altar of dementia, or have, you know, stuff that you could sacrifice to the altar of dementia, which has advantages in you doing that beyond the power toughness thing and the milling. So thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and I will catch you in a future episode.